Okay, we're going to have a look at using layer comps in Photoshop. They're really useful because what they can do is show different combinations of layers. So they're really good for testing out prototypes or showing things to clients where you can have things on different backgrounds and different variations of one design, which is quite useful for if you're making mock-ups for interfaces and you want to try different things out. But more importantly, once you've created your compositions, layer compositions, you can export them as individual documents or send them out to one PDF on different pages. So we'll get going. What we'll do is we'll just open and create a new document. I'm just going to make this 420 pixels by 600 high. Create that. Now, a good way of finding the centers on your document page is to click on the crop tool, and then with the rulers on, I have my rulers on from the view menu, I can drag out some guides and place them on my design. Now, once that's done, I'm going to bring in some images. So I'm just going to make what is a little bit of an advert. So I've got these 3 training shoes I'm going to use for a small little modal advert. Now they're opened up. I'll just rip those out like that, and I'll just place them with the move tool on the document I've got here. So I'll place that one in there. Close that one down. I'll bring this one on, put that one in here, and then finally bring this one in. This one's quite large, so okay, I've got all my images on here, all my shoes that are all placed on here. So all I will do is once they're set up and they're all, I just need to add some other information. So up at the top, I'm going to put some prices. So I'll get the text tool, I'll click up here and I'll just put a price. I'll put in here, get the right color. If I come up here, up at the top, I'll make this black, the text, and I'll put in 50.99. So it's £59.99. I'll bring this over here, so the price is going to come at the top. I will then make this a bit bigger and place it here. And that's put on there. So all I'm going to do is organize my layers, because that's really important if you're making comps. So I'll call this black underscore shoe. I'll call this one red underscore shoe. And finally, this is going to be blue underscore shoe. Right, now once they're set up and placed in there, I'm going to duplicate these prices and change them. So all I can do is make sure I've got the £50.99 layer selected and press Control J on a PC or Command J on an Apple, and it'll copy that for me. All I need to do is amend this. So I'll just highlight this text and I will change it to red, and then I'll just put a different price on it. I'll put $40.99, and you see my text is coming through there. Okay, so I've got that on there. And then finally, I'll duplicate that text again, either Control J, Windows, or Command J. Once that's come up, I will then highlight this. I will change it in color to a blue color. And finally, I will change the price and put a different price in there. All right. So what I've done is I've got these different prices in different colors to match the shoe. So they're set up. I need to put just some buttons down the bottom. So I'll come along and get a shape. So if I move down, I get the shapes and I get a rectangle. I'm just going to get a color. This color will do, to a blue button. I'll then drag out a button down here. I need to turn the stroke off that button. I've got that. And place this down here. Make it a bit bigger. Then it's Control J or Command J to duplicate that, and I'll just move that over to one side. Once I've got that, I'll just get some text and make sure it's contrasting so it's white. And over this one, I'll just make sure my font is a reasonable size. And I'll say sure on this button and have that down here. And then again, I'll just Control J that again and move this one on, and this one I'm going to type in buy. And then once that's set up, basically move it around till I make sure I get in the right center. If I want to know where the centers are again, I can click on one of those buttons, drag a guide out, and then again I can do these guides here so I can get the center of each button and make sure my text then aligns up properly in the center with each of those buttons. All right. Okay. So what I've got here is I've got a number of different layers. So I need to name these other layers. So I'm going to click on that one, and that's the buy. So I'll click on here, buy button underscore BG. And then this one, I'm going to call this share underscore button BG for backgrounds. So they're both named. The text layers are named in any case for whatever's on the text. And I've got all my images. Now what we'll do is I'll just to make it a little bit easier, I'm going to put them in folders. So I'll group them in folders or groups. So how you would do that, so I can go up here and I can then say new group, and I'll call this blue and click on that. Now inside there I'm going to put the blue shoe, and then also I will put on the blue £30.99 text on there, and then I'll just move that up to the top there. And then I'm going to repeat the same process with the other items. Okay, I've put all those in their separate folders, and this just makes it easier to turn them on and off and switch ones off and on. So that's a good idea to do that. Now the other thing I'm going to do is to group all my buttons together. So if I shift click the button backgrounds and the actual button text, and then I can right mouse click and say group from layers, and I'll call these buttons. Okay, so I'm just being organized and keeping everything together. So basically I've just got 4 grouped folders. Now the only thing is I'll just move my shoe up a little bit there and make the shoe a little bit bigger. That's okay. Right, and then close that up. So this keeps it pretty tidy, so everything's together, and I can turn off these other components pretty easy. So they're all pretty well organized. I need to make sure I don't have any sort of artifacts over here. You'll see this is covering over. I move my buttons up to the top, so now they're sitting on the top, but it's up to you. Now what you need to do is we'll just turn off all of them except I'll leave my red on. Now we need to do the layer compositions or the layer comps. Go to the window menu, go down to layer comps. Now what it will do is it will bring up a panel. I'll just move this panel out. Now here is the last state, and that memorizes it. So what you do is you just have different states. So I will create a new state, and this one I'll call red. All right? And then I click OK to that. Now that's my first state. Now I need to then turn off my red and turn on my black, and then create another state and call this black. Once I've done that, I turn that off. And again, I will turn off the black and put on the blue, and this time create a new state, and I would call this blue, and then click OK. Now, once I go through here, I can go back and forward and go through my different designs and it goes through, or I can click on here and see them. Now, this gives you just a good idea of going through quickly and showing someone the different combinations, but this is also useful when you're doing interface design or mock-ups for websites. Now, once that's finished, we can do this. We can go to the file menu and you can go to scripts, and then it has layer comps. First one at the top is layer comps to files. So I click on files and then it comes up. I will browse and I will put it inside my shoes. I click open. Now I want to know what type of files it's doing. It says selected comps only. We'll leave that unchecked, so it'll do all of them. And what you can do is come down and select what you would want to output it as. So I'm going to go a PNG 24. It's going to do it as transparency. You can put the prefix on there, and I will just call this shoes on there, and then I will run this. Tells me it's been successful. Now, if I go along here and open up my shoes, you will see what it's done. It's created all those, and it's sort of named them all up and put the numbers on. So these are individual PNG images, all output from that layer composition. Now, the other thing you can do with the script is this. You can go to File, Scripts, and this time you can go for PDF. Again, I will browse. I will save it in here, and I will call it shoes, and click save, and then all I need to do is run it. Tells me it's been successful, and this time I'll go here and it saved them all in a PDF. If I open that up, what you'll see here, I'll just take it down, it saved them as a PDF document, all of them on different pages. So imagine if you'd done a mock-up for a prototype for a phone interface, or you've done a website design with different pages, or you had just different variants of the design. You can quickly and easily design them, show them to people, and output them in different formats. So layer comps are really, really useful in your design workflow.